corn salsa, a family favorite. Normally I will use 1 red bell pepper, 1 jalapeno, 1/2 of a red onion, some cilantro, 1 lime, and 2 cans of whole kernel corn, not the creamed corn, and salt and pepper to taste. You can use a little bit of sugar, or there's one more thing that I want to show you today that you can do. So let's get started. So the first thing I like to do is chop the onions and squeeze the lime juice on the onions. I feel like it just softens up the onions a little bit and it helps the two flavors blend together. I like it. So that's what I'll do first. I'm not a perfectionist when it comes to chopping everything, and thankfully all my kids like onions, so I don't worry about it so much, just as long as there's not like these huge pieces. I try to get them about the size of the corn kernels or a little smaller than that, and that's fine, I think. I've got my corn draining on the side. I make sure that I don't just take the liquid out of the can of corn, but I rinse all the corn. I think when food tastes canny, it's usually because the liquids and not necessarily the vegetable that was in the can. So although I don't really use a lot of canned vegetables at all, I pretty much go fresh or frozen, mostly fresh. I would say that corn is one thing that we always use in the can, and so with that said, you've got to rinse it. I think it's a huge difference if you just leave it in some of those canny juices. It ruins it to me. So I rinsed them off. I'm draining them here beside me, and that way they'll be good and dry for when I put it into this salsa. So I'm going to squeeze the lemons right onto, or the limes right onto the onions, and I'm doubling this recipe for my hungry family, but it's usually a 1 lime that I use, but since I'm doubling the recipe, I've got 2. This is a great thing to bring to like a potluck, chips in this corn dip. It's like really easy, it's really fresh. It's something that we put in like our salads, and if I have some left over, I'll throw it in a soup I'm making, just throw the last of it in. It's kind of neat to give in little jars as gifts. I think just let them know that it's fresh and it doesn't have preservatives and it's gonna go bad pretty soon. Don't leave it in there a month. But yeah, we really like it, so I'll keep working here. I'm not sure how well you can see this, but this is how I like to cut bell pepper. Take off that tip, pop out the stem, and then you've got a real clear-cut area to take everything out. Makes it simple. You can kind of just get out those little seeds. Just one swipe. Cut them out. Cut them out. That's how I like to do it. I do not put the seeds in this recipe. Another way you can do it is just by reaching in and grabbing it out. But to me, it leaves more seeds in there when you do it that way. So I like to do it the first way I showed. You know what's really good? Stuffed bell peppers. Maybe we'll do that for a recipe. So we'll trim these out and work on the jalapenos. So when I slice these up, I just do it in thin strips, and then I take those thin strips, turn them, and slice them in little small pieces. Again, I like to slice them about the same size as the kernels of corn. I actually do the jalapenos the same way. I cut off that top and you can see the sections, and then I just slice straight down and I get the greenest part off, leaving the seeds in the center. And for me, I'm not much for eating the seeds. They get too spicy. So this is the way I also like to do the peppers. We also slice them super thin and tinier pieces than the corn or the other ingredients. But of course you can do it any way you'd like. But as you can see, we do the jalapeno pretty small, and they make all the difference in the world. I threw the jalapenos in, and you can just see all the colors coming together. It's really pretty. Even if you didn't want the corn, just that little mixture would be great on different things in your house, or a great dip. I think so. Time for the cilantro. I just do a rough chop, about a handful, however much you like. Okay, so I've just added some salt. I'm just going to add some fresh ground pepper. Start with just a little bit, and you can always add more. Now, normally over the years I've put a tablespoon of sugar, and if I double the recipe then it's 2 tablespoons. But here's your option that you can use. Instead of that, just use monk fruit, because it kind of does the same thing, balancing out all your flavors, and it's a lot healthier. So 2 tablespoons of this go into this mixture. If you're doing, well, I doubled it, so for you it'd probably be 1 tablespoon. Just look at the recipe and mix that in, and then we've got our drained corn that we're going to mix in. I did 4 cans, the normal recipe calls for 2 cans, and yeah, it's really pretty. It's colorful, and it goes on all kinds of things. I'll freeze it and throw it in enchiladas. I'll throw it in soups and do all kinds of different things with it. So there's my corn salsa, and I hope you like it. Colorful. We eat with our eyes first, right? So it's beautiful. Right, here it is in a little bowl. You can see all the colors. It's really simple, very easy recipe, very light tasting, and I hardly know anybody who won't eat it. So I hope you try it, and I hope you like it. And remember, the longer this sits in your refrigerator, the better it tastes.